Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to another episode of Beautiful, I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and I'm the creator of this podcast, as well as the book titled Beautiful, I Am Colored, which is still available for purchase on my website at beautifuliamcolored.com. Today is Sunday, and it is a gorgeous, sunny, blue sky day here in Colorado. Like, fall is my favorite time of year. And I just love it because at night it's cool enough for a sweatshirt and a heat lamp, but you can still have on shorts in a day. So it's just a gorgeous time of year here with the leaves starting to change, which I'm so thankful for. Which leads me to this week's shout outs and thank yous. So if you're new here or listening to this podcast for the first time, each week I have a segment in my podcast called Shout Out and Thank Yous. And that's just a moment where I have a moment of, Ooh, Lord have mercy, help my words today. So that is just a segment of my podcast where I shout out a person, place, thing, or idea for something that I'm grateful for from my week. Sometimes it's one thing or person, and sometimes it's multiple things or person. This week, I am thankful for family visits. I had the pleasure of seeing my brother. I only have one. And one of my sisters this week. Very short trips and short visits. But I really appreciated seeing family. That always does something to fuel you or fill you up. And I even posted about it on my Instagram page, just saying how grateful I was. I know that sometimes being around family is not always positive, but I'm very blessed in that the visits were really good and got a chance to dance, even though my sister sat down on me. We were supposed to be learning. Okay, this is a slight aside. Okay, so there is a line dance out with Tamia's song I think it's called Can't Get Enough. I think that's the correct title. Anyhow, this line dance is like kind of similar to like more of a Chicago, two-step. Now, if you don't know what that is, you're just going to have to Google the videos or YouTube the videos so you can see what I'm talking about. And so we pulled up the step-by-step instructions, and my sister was talking about, because there's, quite a few pivots and turns and crossovers, and my sister was talking about her ankle. She felt her ankle. Now, let me tell you something about my sister and I and our age difference. I'm about 9 years older than my sister, okay? Y'all know I'm on the border. I'm on the precipice of turning 46. So I'm like, how your ankles hurting? How? And then she sat down on me. But I love to dance, and it was an easy way to get in some extra calories burned. So I had a great time with my sister laughing and hee-hawing. And my brother too, who is an exceptional spirit being. And it was just so good to have them here. And so I'm so thankful for family. I hope that you have something that you are grateful for this week, even if it's one thing, like you woke up and you're breathing on your own. Sometimes the days can be like that, to where, you have to go back to the foundation of being thankful, right? Thankful I have arms. I'm thankful I have breath in my body. For those times that are really rough, where you having a hard time to pick through something to be thankful for. Anyhow, that's a little nugget there. Today I am going to talk about what to do, or I should say today's topic is what to do when you lose. And yes, this is coming on the heels of CU versus Oregon game, where basically, the Buffs got blowed out. Now I'm not going to bash CU because I'm here for it. I actually believe in what Coach Prime is doing. But I wanted to do a different spin in terms of what individuals you can do, and share with you some things that I do when I, lose, when I fall down. Like, what does it take to get back up? And for my regular listeners, like, this will be no surprise to you of what I do, because I share these things throughout a lot of podcasts as I talk naturally. But in terms of working your way back, reimagining what your game plan should look like, so that you can win. What does that look like? So I'll be back in just a second to give you today's, I was going to say message. But it sounded more and more like I'm a minister, which I am not. But anyway, I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so again, today's topic, is, talking about like, what do you do when you lose, when you feel like you lose? Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, then I like to put a positive spin on almost everything. That's just kind of like the mind magic that I do on myself to help me keep going. And there are different types of losses, right? Like we can experience the loss of a loved one. We can experience the loss of a job, the loss of a friend, and just a plethora of ways that we can have the perception of lose. But, I like to say, even when I lose, I win. And the reason why I can say even when I lose, I win is if you take on the mindset of that there is always something to gain from the process or the journey, even though you may not be able to see it in the moment, but you actually have that mindset, then it makes it, how can I say this? It provides you with the strength and the courage to make the necessary adjustments if they're needed. Sometimes they're not, but to make the necessary adjustments to keep moving forward. And I'm not saying, let me just say this, especially because the loss of a loved one or a friend, like those situations can be like really detrimental and put you at, quote, rock bottom. Believe me, I know and have been there a few times. And so I understand that. But I also think that the principle that I'm sharing in terms of making adjustments is, yes, allowing yourself to be there in that moment for a period of time, but not for it to be long-standing or sustaining to the place where you find yourself in a pattern of being at a low place consistently for months on end, years on end, because then we start to talk about, scientifically some different mental things that are going on that are impacting you in other ways. And so I wanted to just put that caveat out there for anybody who may be listening, because as you all know, I'm also an advocate for mental health. And so I realized that there is a real issue and challenge out there with a lot of people facing depression. And so if that's you, what I wanted to just stop for a second and say, I encourage you to, seek out help and support and get the help that you need, even if it's just talking it out with one person. And if you're not at a place where you can talk it out with one person, one thing that one of my grandmothers taught me was to, just long as you get it out, so that might mean just getting a journal and writing it in your journal, whatever is in your mind, just getting it out of you. And so hopefully that helps somebody who may be going through a challenging time. At least I know that was helpful for me. And honestly, that's one of the things that prompted me to write Beautiful I'm Colored and have it in a way that was more of a journal because sometimes the hurt is so deep. Or the loss is so deep that you don't have words to say and you don't want to speak to people, but you might be able to get a pen or a pencil or marker or whatever and write those thoughts out and keep it to yourself till you do get a place to where you can verbalize them. And so, so just wanted to take a moment to say that before I talk about some adjustments that help me when I have experienced loss. And I want to first start by saying that this is not in any particular order. So I've already kind of shared one thing, which is writing in my journal. But another thing that I like to do is work out. And I'm not the smallest person. Y'all know that by now if you've been listening to me a while. But I will say from a conditioning standpoint, I'm a pretty healthy chick. And I am so because I take the time to walk multiple times a week or jog or lift weights or take a class, a group class. But I have found that for me, when I'm able to sweat out things, it helps me. It helps me a great deal. It helps with focus. It helps with energy levels. It helps with me not being snappy and clipping somebody or chopping somebody up, if I'm having a bad day. It just helps with all of that. I mean, I did it today. Today is Sunday, and I got about 8,000 steps in on my walk earlier today. And so that's one of the things that I do. And there are a lot of scientific evidence associated with the benefits of exercise. And it doesn't have to be as rigorous as some things you might see on TV or online. It could just be, a nice leisurely walk. But just to get out, get outside, get outdoors if you happen to live in a part of the world or country where the weather is still fairly decent. Get outside and breathe some fresh air. Don't stay cooped up in a dark space or a dark room. Get some sunlight, throw on your little sunblock and go head on and get out there and do what you need to do. That's very, very helpful for me. Another thing that's helpful for me is when I do get to a place where I can talk, is talking to a trusted person. And it is of no surprise to, I'm sure, my regular listeners that one of my closest confidants is my spouse. I'm really blessed in that I have a partner who I've been linked up with for over 30 years now. So I can go to him in confidence and speak my heart and share some things. And to be quite frank, sometimes when I share things with him, they don't always go the best because he gets into problem solving mode a lot of times. And so that can be a little bit frustrating for me when I sometimes just want him to listen. Nonetheless, he is a trusted source. And I know that anything that I say to him and any conversation with him will be kept with the highest confidence because trust is so important to me. So I would encourage you to do that. If you have someone in your life who you can trust and talk to. And it's okay to just say, hey, I don't need you to act on anything. I just really just need you to listen because I just got some things that I just need to get out of myself, so just listen to me for a while. It's okay to start your conversation with that type of disclaimer. Another thing, and it's probably going to be the final thing that I share with you today, is if you don't have a physical friend or family member that you can talk to, there are still opportunities to have engagement. Here's what I mean by that. There are pros and cons to the technological advances that we have. But one of those pros that I absolutely love is audio podcasts like mine or YouTube videos too that are compilations of positive mindset thinking, things talking about, discipline and consistency, or even just encouraging words. And so you're not short in terms of resources, sometimes free, a lot of times free, actually, these days, minus having to listen to a few commercials that can help you. And so sometimes when you want and desire a mentor or you want and desire to have those friends and they just haven't shown up for you yet, sometimes you can get the resource that you need through technology. And so I want to encourage you, if you're on a journey to where you're trying to grow your circle or trying to, increase your networking opportunities or looking for, that lifelong friend or that mentor who can kind of show you the ropes and stuff. If that's your path and I'm speaking to you, that I would encourage you to, if they haven't shown up yet in a physical form, they might be showing up in a different type of form, and be open to what technology has to offer to us in terms of support, in terms of mental health, in terms of physical fitness. I mean, there's a plethora of things, even like your diet. If you want to learn how to cook something, there's a ton of even free videos I know on YouTube that have amazing recipes if you're trying to, focus on your overall health and well-being. And so I just want to say and close with this is that sometimes in life we can feel like we are alone, but I want to remind you that and challenge you to not just focus on the loss that you might be experiencing. I mean, it's okay to pay respects and to be in a place for a minute. But don't spend the majority of your time there, because where your focus goes, energy grows. And I did not coin that phrase. I got it from somewhere else, and I've heard it multiple times throughout my life. I'm sure starting it in church. But remember that where your focus goes, the energy is going to grow. So if you're constantly focusing on the lack thereof, what you don't have, the loss of this, the loss of that, I'm not where I should be, then that's where all of your energy and effort is going to go. So I want to challenge you to focus on the positive things, even if it's just one or two. Because as you build up consistency and as you start to shift your mindset into focusing on the things that are working, you'll start to see your energy shift to that. Additionally, surround yourself by like-minded people. And again, those folks may not show up in physical form, but I encourage you, for example, start your day with positive. As a matter of fact, start and end your day with positive things, whether that's, a 10-minute or 5-minute prayer, whether that's a podcast that is focusing on positive things and personal development and how you can get better, or if it's reaching out to a friend, whatever that looks like for you. Because we're all different, then do that. For some of us, that's yoga. Like I know a lot of my friends who engage in the practice of yoga, and that is their meditative time, and that works as well. The key is finding what works for you. And then let me just stop, because I was talking to my baby girl, Morgan, this week, and I was talking about trying things out. So many times, if we start to focus and put our intention on the things that we don't have, which is very limiting, right? Because you're focusing on this one small thing, then because your gaze is on that, it prevents you from seeing all of the things that are in the peripheral, right? So if you just turn your gaze and look at the other things that are available, you might find something that you were looking for. So in this particular case, when I was talking to Morgan, we were just talking about trying new things, period, or trying things that build you up. Like I know my daughter likes live music, and while she might be on a fixed or limited budget because she's a young person, young adult developing, some of the things are free here. So doing that, or do you like the art museum? Find out what the free day is at the art museum or the discount day is at the art museum and go there if that's your flavor or your jam. I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say to you, to encourage you. And I don't think this is the first time that I've lifted this up in terms of an insight and perspective I have about, how do you keep going and how do you overcome? And then I think the final thing I wanted to leave with you is that this is a journey and a process. And I will tell you that even for me, because I'm always looking at the next goal, sometimes I have to be, not sometimes, all the time, I have to be extra intentional about appreciating where I am, the moment of time and space that I am in, and just sit there, even if it's just for a moment, and celebrate the small wins, celebrate the challenges, celebrate, the fact that, this week you did better than last week, and a host of other things that one can be thankful for and put their energy towards. And I think the last part that I want to share is just remember, this is going back to that point of life is a journey and a process, and taking the time, right? Your objective is going to come. Whatever your end point is going to come. It really is, especially if you're doing the work. If you're consistently disciplined, it will get here. It will show up when it needs to show up. But for right now, focus on the things that are within your sphere, within your control, right? And you can control and you can make a decision that I don't want to wake up every day and start my day with Instagram and social media. Now, I'm not trying to be hypocritical because, as you know, you're listening to me on one of those platforms right now. But what I am saying is be intentional about starting your day with quiet, with your workouts, with other things that will build you up, and then end your day in the same way, because how you start and end your day feeds your day and your night when you're sleeping. Hopefully that made sense. I feel like at this point I'm a little bit rambling, and so I'm going to stop here and just say that I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in to me. I don't care when you find this podcast, if it's years from now, days from now, weeks from now, or even if it's today, Sunday. I just want to say thank you, because it is this podcast that honestly that helps me too in terms of my journey. And so thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great week this coming week. I know that I'm going to make it a great week. And until next time, beautiful, remember, the future you is waiting on you. Have a great day, everyone.